Hello everyone, welcome to this discussion video. This time, let us learn about gamification. This presentation intends to discuss and elaborate following significant points about the topic. First, comprehend the concept of a game as described by various researchers. Second, discuss the nature of gamification based from the given descriptions of various articles and researches. Third, enumerate various game mechanics and surface elements to be observed and implementing gamification in teaching and other significant aspects to be considered in its implementation. And fourth, examine the benefits and advantages of implementing gamification technique in teaching and learning process and how it promotes students and learning motivation as shown in the result of several researches where gamification technique is implemented. Before delving on the concept of gamification itself, let us first learn about the very fundamental term we need to learn about, and that is the concept of a game. Fullerton on 2014 defined game as an activity which possesses the characteristics such as having a storyboard to promote interaction, setting a goal or an objective, and proclaiming a winner at the end of the activity. Crawford in 2003 defined it as something which allows players to compete with one another for a single goal or objective set by the existence of the game itself. Cronish in 2016 defined it as any interactive activity that the persons engaging in it are experiencing it as playful experience. Cronish in 2016 elaborated the two elements of a game and defining it as well. The two elements of a game are formal elements and dramatic elements. Formal elements refer to the elements which provide a framework to formalize a certain game. Such are the mechanics, implementations of the game systems, dynamics, the way players interact with mechanics, and aesthetics, emotional experiences evoked by the game. We also have our dramatic elements. They help in ascertaining and building the action about to happen in the game or story. It creates the setting or metaphor within the game where the game world functions. Dramatic premise provides some core meaning for formal game elements. These two elements which we have in here right now are two essential elements in completing or making something or an activity to be considered and to be called as a game. Next up is we will be talking about the nature of gamification. Gamification is defined as a technique or approach in education or in learning process where the use of game-based mechanics, aesthetics, and game thinking activities are utilized to engage people, stimulate achievement, uphold and advance learning, and resolve meaningful challenges and tasks. This is given by Cap on 2012 in his research titled The Gamification of Learning and Instruction, Game-Based Methods and Strategies for Training and Education. Moreover, Burke in 2014 in his research Gartner Redefines Gamification, defined gamification as the usage of game mechanics and elements, an experience designed to virtually and technologically involve and motivate people to achieve their objectives. Furthermore, Mark Zowski on 2012, on his research titled Gamification and Stuff, defined gamification as the appliance of game technicalities and procedures to non-game tasks to progress stimulus, encourage engagement, or to drive desired behavior. It has also been said that it is the course of action of making opportunities for gameful relations and experiences that have the potential to stimulate and connect the users in non-entertainment purposes. So let us now differentiate the term game-based learning versus gamification. Both of them are actually intertwined when it comes to discussing about the two terms, but actually they have a very big difference. Because when we say game-based learning, it is an educational or an instructional method that uses games to teach a specific skill or reach a learning outcome. Game-based learning takes the content of your learning material and makes it fun. On the other hand, gamification is an application of game-like elements in a non-game context. This is done to promote a specific desired behavior to drive those learning outcomes. You can see this clearly in the most public forms of gamification, such as points, badges, and leaderboards. The main difference between the two of them is their application and their integration. Game-based learning fully integrates games into the educational content. You can say that the entire course or class has been turned into a game. On one hand, gamification uses just elements from the games to incentive rewards or for making progress. An easier way to think of gamification is that it is to view all application as a system of encouragement mechanics. It gets your students to want to do something in order for you to promote a specific desired behavior. Meanwhile, game-based learning uses games themselves to enhance the learning experience. This time, let us now talk about the essential aspects in implementing gamification. Cronish in 2016 offered a good list of the various game mechanics and surface elements to be observed when implementing gamification technique. Citing the definition by JISC on 2016, game mechanics are the tangible elements that reflect the following underlying principles in gamification, and they gave 4 principles. First, it tells us that the learners or the players have the freedom to fail. So even if they fail, they can still retake or that specific level or stage. Second is that there is a rapid feedback. For example, if they have failed or if they are successful in the specific stage, a feedback or a notice will be shown in the screen. Third is progression. When they are already successful in a specific stage, they will now move on to stage 2. And as they progress to a certain level, they will be given rewards and incentives. And fourth is the storytelling. The above said principles are contributing to realizing the game mechanics and effectively crafting a gamified learning environment. In connection to this, Na et al. 2014 in his paper titled Gamification of Education, a review of literature, identified 8 game mechanics that are used extensively in educational context. So first is we have the points. These are used to determine success or achievement. Second is we have the levels and stages. It provides a sense of development in the game and can be used as a type of reward for completing tasks or assignment. Third is the badges. It is acknowledged as a signal of appreciation or task completion. Fourth, the leaderboards. It allows students to clearly display their accomplishments. Fifth is we have our prizes and rewards. Sixth, we have our progress bars. These refer to the graphical images of educational success. Game. These assist learners in achieving an optimal curiosity curve in which enthusiasm increases at the start and conclusion of the educational process. And next is we have our feedback, which refers to accurate and quick reinforcement in achieving the flow state. Additionally, as cited from JISC in 2016 by Schwartz in her paper titled Teaching with Gamification, more than the elements and principles to be observed in the implementation of gamification techniques, one has to also take into consideration the answers to some questions. First, what are the resource costs in implementation? Second, what are the ongoing costs during use? How much lesson time will gamification occupy? How potentially distracting will it be from the objectives of the course? How will your students react to a reward or incentives for pedagogical achievement? How will they react to seeing their fellow students achieve and gain rewards? How public will their classmates' achievements be to the rest of the class, who will be able to see the game data? Lastly, we will be talking about the advantages of implementing gamification. Quora on 2020 said that gamification of learning has been discovered to be a means to make language learning more exciting and pertinent to the younger generation. The strategy has been discovered to be a method of immersing students in an experiential learning game in which they utilize their linguistic skills to communicate, participate, and form friendships. Karyakova, Angelova, and Yordanova on 2014 said that gamification as one of the educational approaches and techniques can amplify and heighten enthusiasm and engagement of learners. The research revealed that gamification is a successful method for affecting positive changes in students' behavior and attitudes toward learning, as well as improving their enthusiasm and level of engagement. The changes' effects are bidirectional. They can alter students' grades and knowledge of the academic material, as well as establish requirements for successful learning. Lopez also in 2014 said that the study found that gamification is an attractive instructional strategy because it may offer learners with intrinsic motivation through inquiry, obstacles with adaptable levels of complexity, an element of chance, and an award mechanism. It can also be more enjoyable by boosting creativity. Alomari et al. In 2019 also found out in their research that the effectiveness of gamification strategies in improving learner engagement, participation, and productivity, mostly through creating a competitive educational environment that influences how a student learns rather than the setting in and of itself. Flores also in 2015 in his research found out that gamifying the second language classroom improves writing, reading, and speaking skills while also encouraging cooperation and engagement. The educator can use gamification to produce significant interactions that veer away from gaining perspective and toward a techno-constructivist attitude. There are still a number of researches which continue to delve in the concept of gamification and the implications and effects of its implementation in the various facets of education. This neologism continues to light a bulb in the ever-developing skills of educators who never-endingly seek for better techniques and strategies for the betterment of the teaching and learning process. The researchers had found a number of positive impacts brought by the implementation of gamification. Nevertheless, some loopholes and limitations are still on the way. This is why the search for more knowledge through constant studies and researches are undertaken by various educators to maximize the positive points and benefits that gamification offers in the context of education. I guess that would be all for this video presentation. Thank you so much everyone, and may God bless us all.